Japan politics. Government. Japan is a constitutional monarchy and sovereign state whereby the power of the emperor is very limited. As a ceremonial figurehead, he is defined by the constitution to be the symbol of the state and of the unity of the people. Executive power is wielded chiefly by the prime minister and his cabinet, while sovereignty is vested in the Japanese people. Japan's legislative body is the National Diet, seated in Chiyoda, Tokyo. The Diet is a bicameral body, comprising the lower House of Representatives with 465 seats, elected by popular vote every 4 years or when dissolved, and the upper House of Councillors with 242 seats, whose popularly elected members serve 6-year terms. There is universal suffrage for adults over 18 years of age, with a secret ballot for all elected offices. The Diet is dominated by the Social Liberal Constitutional Democratic Party, CDP, and the Conservative Liberal Democratic Party, LDP. The LDP has enjoyed near continuous electoral success since 1955, except for brief periods between 1993 and 1994 and from 2009 to 2012. As of November 2017, it holds 283 seats in the lower house and 125 seats in the upper house. The Prime Minister of Japan is the head of government and is appointed by the Emperor after being designated by the Diet from among its members. The Prime Minister is the head of the cabinet, and appoints and dismisses the ministers of state. Following the LDP's landslide victory in the 2012 general election, Shinzo Abe replaced Yoshihiko Noda as the Prime Minister on December 26, 2012. Historically influenced by Chinese law, the Japanese legal system developed independently during the Edo period through texts such as Kujikata o Satamegaki. However, since the late 19th century the judicial system has been largely based on the civil law of Europe, notably Germany. For example, in 1896, the Japanese government established a civil code based on a draft of the German Bürgerliches Gesetzbuch, with the code remaining in effect with post-World War II modifications. Statutory law originates in Japan's legislature and has the rubber stamp of the emperor. Japan's court system is divided into 4 basic tiers, the Supreme Court and 3 levels of lower courts. The main body of Japanese statutory law is called the 6 Codes. Administrative divisions. Japan is divided into 47 prefectures, each overseen by an elected governor, legislature and administrative bureaucracy. Each prefecture is further divided into cities, towns and villages. The nation is currently undergoing administrative reorganization by merging many of the cities, towns and villages with each other. This process will reduce the number of sub-prefecture administrative regions and is expected to cut administrative costs. Foreign relations. Japan has diplomatic relations with nearly all independent nations and has been an active member of the United Nations since December 1956. Japan is a member of the G8, APEC, and ASEAN Plus 3, and is a participant in the East Asia Summit. Japan signed a security pact with Australia in March 2007 and with India in October 2008. It is the world's 5th largest donor of official development assistance, donating $9.2 billion in 2014. In 2017, Japan had the 5th largest diplomatic network in the world. Japan has close ties to the United States. Since Japan's defeat by the United States and allies in World War II, the two countries have maintained close economic and defense relations. The United States is a major market for Japanese exports and the primary source of Japanese imports, and is committed to defending the country, having military bases in Japan for partially that purpose. After Japan's defeat in World War II, the Japanese-ruled Northern Mariana Islands came under control of the United States. Japan contests Russia's control of the southern Kuril Islands, including Itarofu, Kunashiri, Shikotan, and the Havami Group, which were occupied by the Soviet Union in 1945. South Korea's control of Liancourt Rocks, Japanese, Takeshima, Korean, Dokdo, are acknowledged, but not accepted and are claimed by Japan. Japan has strained relations with the People's Republic of China, PRC, and the Republic of China, ROC, over the Senkaku Islands, and with the People's Republic of China over the status of Okinawa Terishima. Japan's relationship with South Korea has been strained due to Japan's treatment of Koreans during Japanese colonial rule, particularly over the issue of comfort women. These women were essentially sex slaves, and although there is no exact number on how many women were subjected to this treatment, experts believe it could be in the tens or hundreds of thousands. Between 1910 and 1945, the Japanese government rebuilt Korean infrastructure. Despite this, modernization in Korea was always linked to Japanese interests and therefore did not imply a revolutionization of social structures. For instance, Japan kept Korea's primitive feudalistic agriculture because it served Japanese interests. Further developments on Japan's imperialism in Korea included establishing a slew of police stations all over the country, replacing taxes in kind with taxes in fixed money, and taking much of the communal land which had belonged to villages to give them to private companies in Japan, causing many peasants to lose their land. Japan also introduced over 800,000 Japanese immigrants onto the peninsula and carried out a campaign of cultural suppression through efforts to ban the Korean language in schools and force Koreans to adopt Japanese names. The Korean peninsula once again became independent with the surrender of Japan and the Axis at the end of World War II in 1945. Despite their historical tensions, in December 2015, Japan agreed to settle the comfort women dispute with South Korea by issuing a formal apology, taking responsibility for the issue and paying money to the surviving comfort women. Today, South Korea and Japan have a stronger and more economically driven relationship. Since the 1990s, the Korean wave has created a large fan base in East Asia. Japan is the #1 importer of Korean music, K-pop, television, K-dramas, and films, but this was only made possible after the South Korean government lifted the 30-year ban on cultural exchange with Japan that had been in place since 1948. Korean pop cultural products' success in the Japanese market is partially explained by the borrowing of Japanese ideas such as the star marketing system and heavy promotion of new television shows and music. Korean dramas such as Winter Sonata and Coffee Prince, as well as K-pop artists such as Big Bang and SHINee are very popular with Japanese consumers. Most recently, South Korean President Moon Jae-in met with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe at the 2017 G20 summit in Hamburg, Germany to discuss the future of their relationship and specifically how to cooperate on finding solutions for North Korean aggression in the region. Both leaders restated their commitment to solving the comfort women dispute, building positive relations in the region, and pressuring China to be more assertive with North Korea as it continues to test nuclear weapons and isolate themselves further from the international community.